A fellow competitor in our racing district here in Northern California and Nevada, and a buddy of mine, Bob, told me about this new race in Zwift, at least new to me. It's a Bolt Masters race, and the difference between this Masters race and other Masters races is that the 6069s that I'm in is not combined with the 3039s that probably have a bunch of A's in them. That right there alone told me that the start of this race is not going to be as maniacally hard as the city crit races are. The evidence of that is right in front of us on the screen. We are just getting onto the course, and I am still with the front group. Not only that, I'm towards the front of the front group. Another positive for me is that I'm racing in my own age group. However, you got to keep in mind that these old guys are fast. On the other end of the scale, the length of this race is a little over twice what I'm used to doing on the city crits. If you've seen my previous video of the race I did this past Thursday, and if you didn't, I'll have it linked in the description below, you would have heard me talk about almost going into AFib a few days previous and how I was recovered from that. Today, I'm totally recovered from that. That's a good thing because I'm not feeling that comfortable right now. And that all goes back to the statement, these old guys are fast. Speaking of old guys, not everybody here is between 60 and 69. There's at least a couple 30-somethings. There's a 50-something, male 50-something. Any female that's 50-something can race up another 10 years in the age group, and we have a woman like that here, and she's pretty strong. And then we have a number of people that you can't tell what their ages are. While everybody here gets placed on Zwift, they don't get placed automatically on ZwiftPower.com. Other than the start of the race, the next 15 to 20 minutes felt like what I feels like during the city crit race when I'm in with the lead group until I get dropped. Pretty much when I was 4 watts per kilogram or above, I definitely wasn't resting. And when I was between 3.5 and 4.0, I'm not sure if I was resting then, but it just wasn't as hard. Pretty much I was uncomfortable the whole time I was with this front group. Whenever I had to deal with a surge, that hurt even more. I would try and rest whenever I could, but the resting was, as I was mentioning earlier, the resting was hard too. With each surge, it took a little bit out of me. And then having to recover under stress, although that's something you want to do in training, is really difficult when you're dealing with other people in a race. Now here's just a situation where they're going away from me. And I'm just digging to get on because there's not a lot of people behind me. There's a group that's forming that probably is going to be off the back from this group anyway. And so I'd rather be with those guys in front than with those guys in back of me. So I'm pushing hard, but it's getting hard to get above 4.0. As I'm nearing here, I'm kind of dialing back a bit so I don't overshoot to the front because I've done that a number of times. Fast forwarding again, this time to the 17-minute mark, I get to see why this course is a flat-ish and not a flat course, and that the people here are probably racing before, so they are familiar when to put the hurt on. And right now, the hurt's going on me. This long drag is starting to kill me. Now, my buddy Bob that I mentioned earlier is in the pack up ahead, so he's right toward the front there. He's riding pretty strong. And I'm starting to, if I can just make it over the top here, then I can stay connected with these guys. And I'm just losing strength. I'm now down below 3.0 and everyone else is above 4.5. And this is where I lose contact with the front group. Now, this is 11.3 miles into the race. The city crits that I do are 9.8 miles into the race. So that makes sense. I need more endurance, or more endurance at strength, I guess I should say. Once I got my legs back underneath me, I tried to keep a steady pace between 3 and 3.0 watts per kilogram. I did that for about 10 minutes, and then I was finally caught by a chasing group. Of the 5 that caught me, only one was 60 plus, and that is Adi Hense out of Austria, if I pronounce his last name right. And the guy in the yellow band there, headband there, Rawlings, I know he's 50 plus, and the others may be 50 plus. So even though they started a minute before us, they may have gotten popped out because we were moving pretty fast in the group behind them. And then they got their legs under them, and then they eventually caught me. If any of you in this chase group are watching the video, why don't you comment below and let me know the backstory, what was going on before you guys caught up to me. Fast forwarding to 1 mile to go. During our chase, we lost one of our people. Now, I call it a chase, but we knew that we weren't going to catch that front group. Pretty much I was watching for groups coming up behind us, and right now we were so far ahead that wasn't going to happen. And I was looking up ahead just in case anybody was dropping back. Now coming into the finish, we're all thinking about that final sprint. Now, even though I know now that there's only one other guy from the 60 plus in there, I thought everyone else was from the 60 pluses too. So pretty much I'm just dropping back and trying to rest when I can. Of course, knowing that I can't sprint, and obviously I don't know the others, but I can assume that everybody can sprint better than me. I figure my best chance is to get away with half a kilometer or a whole kilometer to go. The guy that eventually won this race is this hard-man-looking dude out of Belgium named Philippe Lampaert. Now, if this guy was American, I'd probably say Philip Lampart. Bubba here didn't make it on SwiftPower.com, so I'm guessing that he didn't sign up for it because he looks 60 plus. Back to the race, we are within 1K to go. It's been a long race and it's still a long way to go to the finish. So where am I going to attack? Pretty much I am where I want to be, because when I start to go, I'm going to get a little bit of a draft and that'll help slingshot me. Of course, depending on how the algorithm is written. You'll notice there's a small uphill drag. This is where I start to go. You see I'm standing now in that little insert, and there's a little delay obviously that translates over to Zwift. But now I'm putting everything into it. So when you make your move, you can't do it half-ass. You got to do it as if this is it, and you're either going to live with it or you're going to die with it. Half a mile is a long way to go, and I'm just thinking about that. These guys caught me before, and so they can catch me again. In my hypoxia, I'm keeping my eye on those numbers on the right-hand side on the graphics there. I'm looking at the gap, and so I'm seeing a 5-second gap to the next guy. And so I'm thinking, man, maybe I can hang on with this. So you can see that I'm trying to garner as much power as I can. Every once in a while I stand up just to get a little more power. If you check out my eyes, I'm looking at that little map insert in the upper right-hand corner too, just to look at that gap. I now see 6 seconds to the next rider behind me, and I'm still thinking these guys are going to catch me. They're just going to all of a sudden pick it up, and then they're going to be right there, and then I'm just going to see their rear tires. I can see the finish right there, so I'm making one last push. Pushing hard sitting, I may stand again, I don't know, and all of a sudden no one passes me, and boom. I finished in 11th place. My buddy Bob finishes over 2 minutes ahead of me in 9th place. Of the 10 in front of me, 4 were declared to be 60 plus. 4 didn't show their ages, and 2 of them, one was 34 and one was 37. Of the 27 starters in our age group, only 10 made it to SwiftPower.com. My buddy Bob got on the podium with a third, while Brent Tremaine out of the US took the win. An interesting story is in 2nd place. Female Angela McRae out of Australia. Reading her bio, she's a long-time accomplished cyclist who, due to an accident, is now limited to Zwift. She never gave up, and she worked to do what she wants to do. Angela, check my channel out. I have a similar story. All I need to do now is get as fast as her. She finished like 5 seconds behind the leader, and I finished almost 5 minutes behind the leader. I hope you enjoyed this video and got something out of it. Please comment below and let me know what you think of these videos. As you watch me do my end of race day or interval day, squats and deadlifts, remember these immortal words. Comment, like, subscribe. The Cycling Greek.